Ever feel like no matter how hard you push, something invisible is holding you back? What if the very bottlenecks in your life or business are actually the gateways to your next breakthrough? Let's go ahead and talk about this. Welcome back to Transformation Station, the place where we uncover the shifts that fuel growth, clarity, and transformation. I'm your host, Adrienne Benton, and today we're diving into a topic that hits close to home for anyone who's ever felt stuck. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about turning bottlenecks into breakthroughs. Now, today I want to tell you something really special. Guess what? We just hit 1,900 downloads. Yay! I want to say congratulations, Transformation Station community. You did it. But guess what? I know there's more. There's more resources. There's more podcast episodes you want to listen to. And so I want to invite you to listen and to share on any platform that you prefer so you can push us over that 2,000 edge. I want to thank you in advance for doing that. Well, listen, today I'm super excited because we have an amazing guest. We always do, but today is epic. Why is that? Because today we have John Little with us. Let me tell you a little bit about him. John has been a leader of people and business for more than 25 years across multiple industries. He's based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He has traveled extensively and is a nationally recognized speaker, facilitator, and coach. Transformation Station, help me welcome John Little. John, thanks so much for joining us today.
Wow, thank you for that amazing introduction. Can I take you on the road with me? Because I need that every day. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So listen, I'm really excited about this conversation because I feel like this is one of those classic evergreen conversations in terms of leaders. No matter where you are in your leadership journey, John, at some point we have always felt stuck. Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, as we're preparing for this, I stopped to think to myself, when was the last time that I felt a bottleneck that was overwhelming? And I can identify actually a few times in my career as I've been in leadership for over 2 decades now. And so, as I'm sitting here and we're getting ready for this conversation, I'm thinking it's instead of avoiding it, why don't we just lean into it? And I know that's what you're going to help us do today. Show us how to lean in. So I want to start off by asking you this question. From your perspective, from your experience, what are the most common limiting beliefs that you have seen in leaders?
Yeah, it's a great question. And like you said, a lot of leaders struggle with this. I mean, I would say a majority of leaders struggle with feeling bottlenecked or feeling challenged. And it is those self-limiting beliefs that crop up into our minds. So one of the areas that I spend a lot of time focusing on and talking and teaching about is imposter syndrome. And what those limiting beliefs do when it's paired with imposter syndrome, in our minds, we think, I shouldn't be in this room, or I shouldn't speak up in this meeting. I shouldn't raise my hand. Maybe they don't want to hear from me. If I say something that's maybe wrong, or if it doesn't come out exactly the same way that it's in my mind, then what are people going to think about me? Like, those are the self-limiting beliefs that a lot of times leaders will get in their own heads. Those cause those bottlenecks within them. And it leads to so many behaviors that impact not just the leader, but the team and then the organization as a whole. I know we'll unpack some of those as we go a little bit further, but it really does start with a lot of those self-limiting beliefs of, can I, should I, what if I, or what if I don't?
You know what? I 1000% agree with you. I would say that that's probably like one of the number one right there, right? To thine own self be true. And many times we're not true to ourselves. We have, John, for me, I call it stinking thinking.
Not
Sometimes
yes.
we allow the stinking thinking, right? There's a Bible verse that says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Sometimes I believe we're the weapon formed against ourselves.
Absolutely. In many cases, when we think about our existence and our experiences in corporate spaces. Yeah, of course, not everybody is going to be our best friend. Not everyone's going to have our best interests at heart. Not everyone is going to be our biggest fan. But
Mm,
in most cases, the ones who are getting in our own way are ourselves.
mhm,
And that's one of the things as a leadership coach, that's one of the things that I focus on primarily is how can we amplify your self-awareness? How can we get you to recognize how you're showing up, recognize your not only the things that you're good at, but what your blind spots are, and what have you done to help to support those blind spots so you can get out of your own way and you
mhm.
can be the leader that you're designed to be, so you can make the impact that you're able to make, so that way you can grow leaders in your legacy tree, so you're not the one who ends up being that bottleneck for yourself or for your organization.
I love that. Those of you who are listening and watching right now, I want to invite you to go ahead and put hashtag get out of my own way. I know that sounds long, but hashtag get out of my own way. I love that. And another one that I thought about while you were talking, John, is this one. I need to have all the answers. Come on now. I know
Oh
you've heard
my.
this one before. Talk to me about this one. What have you
You
seen in
know,
others where this is a limiting belief?
I see this a lot of times where we have people who have been high achievers, people who have been successful individual contributors, and they get elevated into a leadership position, whether that be a team lead, whether that be a supervisor, whether that be a larger role, or that maybe they're at a director level or something of that sort. And they feel like I now need to have all the answers. And when you have that mindset, when you step into a meeting or step into a call, or when you're presenting something and you have the mindset of I need to have all the answers, and you know that you don't, recognize that that's okay, right? We
Mm,
all needed to learn the answers before we intuitively knew them. And the things that got you here aren't going to get you there. The things that
mhm,
got you really a lot of great success as an individual contributor, yeah, the work ethic, the focus, the drive, the determination, those things are going to matter. But the knowledge and the skill sets that you had as an IC, they're
mhm.
not going to translate as well into a leadership role. So when you've been in a leadership role, either if you're new to it or if you're in a new leadership role, or if you've been in a leadership role for a long time, 10, 15, 20 years. I've worked with leaders who have been in leadership roles by title for a long
Mm,
time, but they weren't actually leading for that
yeah.
entire time. You have to grow into that. So when you have that mindset of I need to have all the answers, that's a self-limiting belief. That's where that self-awareness comes in. And it's like, no, I don't need to have all the answers, but I need to have the curiosity to define the answers that I don't know. And I have
Mhm.
to have the courage to ask the questions to get the answers that I don't know. And that's what growth looks like. And when we talk about executive presence, that's one of the things from an executive presence standpoint. Like, executives are constantly asking questions to learn more.
Mm,
Successful executives don't walk in and think that they have all the answers. Successful executives walk into situations where they're constantly learning. They're constantly reading books. They're constantly visiting websites. They're constantly going to conferences. Executive presence is you doing the development on yourself, for yourself, that's going to help yourself be beneficial and strong for the organization. It's not selfish to take that approach. It really is a great way to serve. The more that you learn, the more that you ask questions, and the more that you don't have that mindset that I need to have all the answers.
this is like a master class right now. I am loving this. And I love the fact that you said it is not selfish. Every leader, every single one of us that's here listening, whether you're live or whether you're on the replay, I want you to hear what John said. It's not selfish. And John, here in Transformation Station community, we like to always pause in the middle of the podcast and just have a moment of reflection, give ourselves an opportunity to just pause and really soak in what we just heard. And so, to everyone listening and watching right now, I want to invite you take out your notes, whatever note taking device you have, and write down what is catching your attention, what is meaningful to right now in this conversation. And as always, don't just keep it to yourself. I want to invite you to share it with someone else. So, let's do one more self limiting belief before we move forward. All right, here's another one that I have seen. Tell me what you think about this one. I must be perfect to be respected. Woo, woo, woo.
I
Mercy.
tell
Come
you
on,
what,
John. Come
if you ever want to waste a whole time, energy, focus, and exhaust yourself, chase
on.
perfection.
Mercy.
You're never going to get there, right? So the mindset of I must be perfect in order to be respected, that's going to get in your way, and it's only going to set you up for
Mm,
failure, from a mindset standpoint. So listen to what I'm saying here. It's not going to
Yeah.
set you up for failure on other success metrics, but from a mindset standpoint, when you're always feeling like you have to be perfect, it's an impossible standard because perfect keeps moving, right? Because when you accomplish something, now the standard is higher. So now you're chasing something more, which is fine, right? You do want to be in that process of pursuing excellence, but trying to be perfect and using that as the standard of I must be perfect in order for me to be respected, you're just setting yourself up for something that's unrealistic. Now, there's certainly the mantra of chase perfection and you'll land no less than excellence or something along those lines. I'm sure I butchered that a little bit, but not putting that in order to be respected part on it. The respect is going to come from people when they see that you're engaged. People are going to respect the efforts that you're putting forward. People are going to respect how you connect. So this is something that I talk to leaders about all the time, and it kind of goes with this. But in terms of the respect that you're going to get, people respect the people. They don't respect the title. People will respect you, the work that you do. They'll respect how much you care. They'll respect how much you engage. They'll respect how much you listen and learn a lot more than if you're perfect. Because if someone perceives you to be perfect, I mean, that's kind of a perception problem on their end, because what does perfect really look like? I mean, even the most perfect has flaws and has flaws. So perfection is such a impossible standard to continue to try to achieve. But people will try to see the best in you, the better that you are about seeing and doing the best that you can every day, showing up as your best self. That really is the standard for people to respect you.
Wow. So one of the ways to remove these self-limiting beliefs, especially this one about having to be perfect, is to allow yourself to just be your authentic self every day. I try to share with my team, I share with my team periodically. We are not here to be perfect, but we are here to be progressive. And for me, that goes back to what you were saying about growth, right? We're always should be in that mindset of growing, right? We've never arrived, right? We may be able to accomplish things, but there's always more. There's opportunities. There's more things to discover, to explore, to enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey, leaders. Enjoy the journey.
Absolutely. The journey is the one thing that we can count on, right?
Yes.
Because the journey is the one thing that we have the most control over. We can
Yeah.
control how we show up every day. We can control the amount of effort that we put in. We can
Yeah.
control the connections that we're trying to build. We can't control outcomes as much as we want to, as much as we try to. The more that we try to control outcomes, it's a lot easier to get yourself distracted and frustrated and anxious. And that imposter syndrome will definitely, that it will jump right on your back. If you're trying to control outcomes and outcomes aren't what you think that they're going to be, all of a sudden you start asking all the questions of what happened, why, what did I do, what didn't I do, right? So that's why it's so important to make sure that your mindset is in the right place as a leader all the time.
I love this. So help me with this one. How can someone build a personal leadership brand that earns trust and creates opportunities?
Yes, I love that question. So there's a couple of frameworks that I'm going to share here with you. So one of them is starting with trust. So trust is a foundation for everything that we do. And we're talking about a leadership brand. Trust is foundational to that, because once you are able to learn how people build trust, once you learn how to build trust with people, and once you continue to invest in that trust, then when you have trust, you've built trust, you've established trust, you've built trust, then that will start to help you to gain influence. And when you're gaining influence, then that means that people already have trust in you. Now they want to learn more about you. Now they want to buy you in a little bit more. Now they're interested in what you have to say. And the more that you are gaining influence, and I'm really specific about the words here. So you build trust to gain influence. When you gain influence, then you're granted authority. Now, authority being granted to you, that's something that other people will do. And when authority is granted to you, that means you're being invited into rooms, you're being invited into conversations. People are seeking you out and looking for you to help with key decisions, or help with key outcomes, or to help with key processes. When you have been granted authority, then that's a space that people are seeking you out. And the difference is between authority and power, because a lot of times leaders will confuse authority and power. You're granted authority through the work of building trust and gaining influence. Leaders can grab power by their title or by their hierarchy on an org chart, but that's short term, that's transactional. Authority is transformational, because that's something that you have built the process to do. And that is part of your brand. That's part of your leadership brand. Your leadership brand is who are you when you're not around that people think about? What is it that they think about? What is it that comes to mind? What are the words? What are the terms that come to mind? What are the values that you display? All of those are part of your brand. And that comes through building trust, through gaining influence, as being granted authority. And once you've done those things, then opportunities will present themselves. Opportunities for you to grow as a leader, opportunities for you to work on different projects, opportunities for you to create other opportunities for others, opportunities for you to expand whatever your territory may be, whatever it is you're looking to do. By going through that framework of trust, influence, authority, then opportunities come. And I've seen it time and time again that it goes with that flow. And when you try to take shortcuts, or you try to impact, going through that process, it just doesn't work as well. And it's not as long-term and sustaining. And really, from a brand standpoint, your brand should reflect what values that you bring to organizations, to teams, to your company as a leader, because that really is a reflection of who you are.
Can you say that one more time? Your brand reflects.
Yeah, your brand is a reflection of who you are. So I think about brand in a lot of times in terms of legacy. Let me frame it up this way, right? So I'm in the U.S. A big National Football League fan. The NFL is something that I enjoy on a regular basis, have my entire life. But one of the things that we talk a lot about in NFL circles is something called a coaching tree, and a coaching tree is from one head coach who may have assistant coaches that work with him, that buy into his processes, that buy into his schemes, that do things the way that he does. Then we will see that as those assistant coaches get head coaching jobs, then they start to do the same thing. So it's like an expansion of the brand. And what your brand really does, it's a reflection of your values. It's a reflection of the impact that you bring. It's a reflection of the way that you show up. And it's how people think about you when they hear your name. If think about any other brand that you may trust, whether that be an airline or a beverage or a food, a restaurant or a retail store. When you think about their brand, something automatically comes to mind about it, and it makes you either trust them or not trust them, give them the benefit of the doubt, or give them a little bit of the stink eye. Your leadership brand is the same exact way, right? How people think about you reflects the values that you show up with. It reflects how you show up, reflects the consistency of what people can expect when they engage with you. So hopefully I answered that question. As you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this. So
yeah. This is phenomenal. And again, to our leaders, as we are listening and as we are watching, I invite you, don't share this. Don't keep this to yourself. Share this right now. Hit that like, love, share button, tag, and send it to another leader who right now needs and is ready to enhance their brands. Okay. So John, why is it then that strong performance isn't always enough to get promoted? And how can someone strategically increase their visibility without, here's the key, without coming across as self-promoting? This is important. That's
the tough one. So how can you position yourself to get those additional opportunities? There's a few things that I encourage leaders to do. It's one, lean into curiosity, asking a lot of questions and asking the right questions. Learning about, I'll give an example, because that's kind of, I teach through analogies and metaphors. Easy for me to say, right? Think about it. If you were the first person who's stepping into a meeting room, before you even get into that meeting, if you want to make an impact, if you want to grow without it seeming as though you're self-promoting, have in your mind, what's one key thing that you need to learn walking out of that meeting that's going to help you in the next 5 to 7 days? What's one key insight from something that that you can share that's going to spark conversation, that's going to be something that's unique, and that's different, right? Those are all part of those pieces that I talked about building trust, gaining influence. The more that you can add value in those parts of that framework, the more that you can add value, the more that you can ask questions, the more that you can help people see that you are trying to you're trying to learn more, you're trying to be an asset, you're trying to be unique without being self-serving and being all about yourself. Those things help to raise your profile. I talk with leaders all the time about people want to buy into a person and not a position, right? So people are going to respect you for you. The way that they get to know you is the more that you're engaging, whether it's individually with them, whether it's with others. How people are always watching how you treat others. That's one thing I say to leaders all the time, is like, when you're in a leadership role, especially if you're in, a senior leadership role, all eyes are on you all the time. So how you treat people, not just one-on-one, how you treat people, how they treat others, people will watch that. How you treat people kind of down the org chart, people will watch that all the time. Yep. I talk to leaders at a senior director or director level, and I say, think about when you were just starting your career. Think about when you were in your first maybe 2 years of your career. If somebody came into your office or came into your location or came into wherever it is that you're working, and they were your manager's manager, or maybe your manager's manager's manager, and they sat down and had a 5-minute conversation with you, genuine conversation. Hey, what's your name? What do you do here? Really happy that you're here. What are some things that you're excited about for the future? Like 4 or 5 questions. What would that do for you in that moment? To a person, they say, oh, that would have made my day. It would have made my week. That would have been the greatest thing. And why aren't you doing that for the people that you connect with, right? Those are the type of things that can set you apart. Those are the type of things that help you grow, that help you. Again, that's not all about you, but these are little things that you can do. And executives notice those things. Executives hear positive buzz about people. And that's how you continue to grow in your career, because they hear, oh, this person, I keep hearing Adrian's name over and over and over again. Why do I keep hearing Adrian? And every time I hear something, it's something new, but it's also something cool. It's something that I want to learn more about that. Remember that authority that I was talking about? That's exactly what that is. But it's still by going through that flow of trust and influence to gain, to be granted that authority.
Okay, so talk to us about your frameworks. What frameworks or models do you use to help leaders become more effective in their roles?
Yeah, so I'm big on EQ. So there's a couple of assessments that I'm certified in. So I use either DISC or Myers-Briggs, kind of depends on the individual or the company, what they prefer to use. So I use that again as that foundation for I use that as the foundation for coaching that I do. So one of the frameworks that I use is that trust to opportunities framework. So, build trust to gain influence, to be granted authority, which then leads to opportunities being presented to you. That's one of the frameworks. The other main framework that I use is what's called the Embrace framework. And this is a framework that I use with a lot of leaders. And it's really just a way for you to think about how you show up on a consistent basis. And Embrace is an acronym for empathy, mindset, brand, resilience, authority, capabilities, and effectiveness. And when you think about those individual components of a framework, those are all tangible, active, consistent things that a leader can focus on in order to ensure that they're showing up as their best self for their teams and for the organization. So the trust to opportunities framework is one, and then that Embrace framework: empathy, mindset, brand, resilience, authority, capabilities, and effectiveness. If you can be good at those 7 components, then you're going to be amazed how much that's going to impact your ability to lead effectively and to really, really make a big difference from the way that maybe you're leading now to being the leader that you want to be.
Okay, listen, at the end of this, we're going to talk about how we can engage and tap into these frameworks. I know I want to myself. Here's another question I want to ask you. From a leadership standpoint, what do decision makers look for when deciding who to promote beyond just technical skill or tenure? You started talking about a little bit, but I know, especially in this present age right now, right? In
Hmm.
this community, we're talking to leaders who are high powered, high driven leaders, right? And this question
Right.
always comes up. What do they look for outside of technical skill or
Hmm.
tenure?
The simplest answer is buy-in.
Okay.
They look at leaders who have the teams that buy into them, because
Mm,
you can find people to do the technical skills. You can
mm,
find people to do the transactional elements. But a true leader that grows and that stands out is transformational. And you see that by the buy-in that they have with the people that may not only be on their team, but the buy-in from their leaders, from
mm,
their peers, from their direct reports. Sometimes it's for external buy-in. If clients have, your clients, your customers have an affinity towards a certain leader, or you consistently hear positive things about them, that's what people are looking for. That's what executives look for when they want to grow people in the organization, is who has the most buy-in. Why is that? It's not just because it's a popularity contest, because that's not what it's about. But when you have buy-in, then that means that it's going to be a lot easier for this individual leader to convey some of the important things that either their organizational initiatives, maybe there's change initiatives, maybe
mhm.
there's difficult conversations, whatever it is. The more buy-in that you have as a leader, then that's going to really amplify your profile, and that's what's going to help you grow. And that buy-in is something that is not it's not done quickly. There's
Right.
not a specific
Right.
formula for that, other than you consistently showing up and doing the work and working through people, or working with people and not through people, right? And that
Mhm.
difference of working with people and not through people is, you recognize that it's always important to include the people element. But if you're just looking at people as a tool to get the job done
Mercy.
versus how much can I give, because
Mm,
then I'm going to get. It's like I start talking about EQ this way too, right? When it comes to EQ, or emotional intelligence,
mhm,
I always look at it as a little bit of a backwards way of being selfish. If I
mm,
am genuinely focused on meeting your needs,
mhm.
and I do that first, then I'm going to get my needs met.
Yep. Yep.
But
It's
I can't manipulate that though, right? I can't
mhm,
come at it fake, or I can't come at it giving you a little bit and expecting a lot. No, I have
mhm,
to know you. I need to figure out what needs do you have and how can I meet your needs, and then I'll
mhm.
get my needs met. And a lot of times I'll get my needs met without having to specifically ask for them. It's just all
Right.
about putting people in the position for them to succeed, so that way we can succeed.
I love that. Remind me of the five love languages, right? When you know the love language of your spouse, man, you
Right.
open up, you pour into that tank, you end up being a wonderful recipient of their love because they feel cherished and valued. And
Yeah.
as I was preparing for this, I thought about this question, and one that I thought of was ability to develop others. I've seen so
Yes.
often, or even being a senior leader myself, I'm looking to see, like you said, who one understands who they are
Hmm.
and their own skill sets that they bring to the table, but can they multiply rather than just deliver results for themselves? That's huge, right?
Yeah.
Promotions go to leaders who grow leaders. Leaders listening to us right now, I want you to
Absolutely.
hear us. You have to be able to grow and develop others. Ask yourself this
Absolutely.
question right now. Who has advanced or improved because of my leadership? Mm,
So one of my favorite things to challenge leaders on, um, a lot of times they'll look at me like I'm crazy when I make this first statement, but I tell leaders, as a leader, your
mhm,
number one job is to get the people who want to get promoted off of your team.
mercy.
And they look at me like, what, wait, why would I let my top
Where you
producers
going?
go?
Mhm,
Why would I want to promote people off of my team? Well, you said it perfectly, Adrian. Great leaders develop leaders. They don't develop followers, right?
mhm. Right.
And so that's what you want to do. You want to continue to build great leaders, because great leaders will then they will outgrow their roles, and sometimes they may outgrow the company, right? The opportunity is not there, but that's still your main job as a leader, is to get those people promoted off of your team by continuing to pour into them. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of a cheat code on how leaders can develop others consistently. It starts with EQ. It starts with self-awareness. It starts with recognizing what your blind spots are, and don't hire clones. It's so easy for us to hire people who we're comfortable with, who think like us, who it's like it just clicks right away, because it's like, oh, well, you see things the way that I see things. You see the world that I see the world. You would do things the same way that I would do. And you know what happens in those situations? You have the same blind spots. Very true. So you're just developing a clone. And at a certain point, we don't need more of you. We need a well-rounded person, right? So how can you get a well-rounded team? How can you be a well-rounded leader? Well, when you're hiring people who have different experiences, who have different mindsets, who have different ways that they look at things, and they have different strengths that complement your blind spots, there's a pretty good chance that their blind spots are complemented by your strengths. And so when you are working in tandem together and you're learning from each other, and your strengths are my blind spots, and my strengths are your blind spots, well, guess what? I can see that really clearly. And let me give you a couple of ways that you can see it, and you can be successful in that space, and vice versa. So now we're not just developing clones. Now we're developing well-rounded leaders that can be impactful and effective regardless of the roles that they step into.
I'm in. I want this, right? And I know that I'm not alone. There are leaders that are listening and watching right now that are like, okay, John, I am sold. So as we turn the corner, let's help us answer this last question so we can give all of our listeners and viewers something that they can walk away with. Okay, so here's the question. What's an actionable step that a leader can take today to start overcoming self-doubt and to show up more confident as a leader?
So one of the things that I really encourage leaders to do who may be struggling with self-doubt is start to create what I call a brag book. And what that brag book is, it's like you want to start to jot down, and you want to start to journal or log your wins, whether they're small wins, whether they're big wins, whatever it is. You need to start journaling that, because you need to start building momentum to recognize where you have been able to be successful. So by creating that brag book, it's just a way for you to just continue to reinforce not only that you're learning along the way, that you're not perfect, but it reinforces that I started here and now I've made growth here. Or maybe I haven't grown as far as I need to. So what do I need to do to supplement that? So by creating that brag book, it's something that's tangible. It creates thought. It gives you time for reflection. There's so many benefits that we've heard over the years about journaling, right? This is just a really super specific way to journal. So you're focusing on the positive, but you're going to learn so much about that. And the more that you do that, it's going to be easier when you're hit with those moments of self-doubt. You can go back and say, oh yeah, like I was struggling with this, but I was still able to find a way. Or I was struggling with this, but I don't struggle with it anymore. So I was able to grow. Like it's those little things. Mindset is mindset's one of the most important things that we can focus on as leaders, because when we're bringing the right mindset to not only the work that we do, but also to ourselves and taking care of ourselves, that's going to just have benefits beyond explanation.
1000%. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What is one final advice that you would give to the leaders here in Transformation Station community?
Wow. It's hard to kind of boil it down to one. I would say you're needed more than ever, right? We recognize that AI is probably the largest disruptor that leaders have faced and experienced in our careers, and probably will continue to be for the next 5 to 10 years. Like we're literally 2.5 years from nobody ever knowing what AI was before, other than stuff we saw in movies. And now it's a part of our everyday life and will continue to be. But here's where it's so important for leaders to know that we still need humans. We still need the human connection. We still need each other. We still need people to lead, because you know what can't lead? A computer screen. A computer screen can't, it doesn't have the experience. It doesn't have the compassion. It doesn't have the empathy. It doesn't have the ability to listen and immediately connect it to an experience that you've had to now relate. So that's why leaders, you're so important, and you're going to continue to be important during this time of disruption and change. And so I would say that that's the one thing that I would say, just keep showing up as a human, keep showing up as the best person that you can, as your best self. Invest in yourself, investing, developing your EQ, because that's what AI cannot do EQ. Like, I know that AI is amazing, but it's still a machine. This is where we need leaders. We need leaders to be that human element that is continuing to help people stay connected and stay grounded in a world that's been disrupted tremendously.
This is amazing. This really, again, I'm going to use that line again, a masterclass. This truly has been a masterclass, and I really feel like we just barely scratched the surface. So, John, I do hope that you'd be willing to come back on Transformation Station. Maybe we could do a part 2 if you don't mind. I know that I have found so much value, and I'm quite sure that our listeners and viewers are finding value as well. So on that note, for those that want to tap into your resources, look into the coaching, how can we do that?
Yeah, so the first place that I love to start is by just getting a little bit of information from folks. And so winnersedge.scoreapp.com is a quick questionnaire assessment where it just allows leaders to do a little bit of a self-check, little self-reflection. And then it's a great way for us to start a conversation, whether it's just, me being able to kind of support you in the moment, or if you're interested in doing something a little bit more broad, a little bit deeper, a little bit more personal. That usually is the starting place for people to start to get engaged with me. And again, it really just helps us to have a progressive conversation. But most importantly, even if we don't talk, through that assessment, you're going to be able to get a report which gives you some key areas of focus and some key things that you're really strong in, and maybe some opportunities that may exist as well.
I love this. I love this. So Transformation Station community, listen, you know that we like to support our guests. I'm going to invite all of you. The website is here in the description. You see the websites and where you can learn more about John and what he has to offer. And I want to invite you to contact him and let him know that you heard this podcast episode. Let him know what resonated with you, and also ask questions and maybe take him up on his offer to coach. That's right. Let him coach you, because we are a community that thrives with growing. John, again, it's been wonderful. So glad to have you. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you here on Transformation Station again.
Thank you very much. It was great.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Well, there you have it. All right. Transformation Station community, we want to remember a couple of things. Number one, bottlenecks are not barriers. They're signposts. And if this episode sparks something for you, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, share it with a coworker, a colleague, your team who's navigating their own bottlenecks right now. Remember, we're moving forward. We hit 1900. We want to get past 2000. So come on, listen in, tap into Transformation Station resources. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Transformation Station so you never miss a Monday or a Wednesday conversation designed to help you break through. So until next time, keep transforming, keep moving, and keep on turning those bottlenecks into breakthroughs.